Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 news, and with good performances of Mick Schumacher in the last couple of races, it seems that Red Bull's Helmut Marko has been keeping an eye on his developments. Could Mick Schumacher potentially step into Sergio Perez's seat when his contract comes to a close in a couple of years' time? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's crack straight on with things here. Firstly, from Günther Steiner on the Haas situation right now, they are planning to try and get P7 in the Constructors. They're looking rather good for it right now. Their last couple of races have been very good. Surprising really the fact that at the start of the year they looked really solid back in Bahrain, right? And then since then they kind of fell off a cliff a little bit. I'm pretty sure, was it Magnussen got a P5 back in Bahrain, and then they effectively said, yeah, we're not doing any further upgrades to our car, whereas teams like Aston Martin came through with an entirely new car, like Williams have kind of done the same with a significant upgrade as well. But it has just seemed to have like understood how to set up their car properly, and whatever they currently have is really working well the last couple of races. Silverstone, Austria especially, they looked very competitive. So they reckon they're planning for P7. Who knows if they can do better? Certainly helped by what it seems like Mick Schumacher taking a serious step with, of course, some point scoring races, getting his first points in Silverstone with a great drive there. And then last weekend was probably the best drive of his career, to be honest. The sprint race was a masterclass in defense against Lewis Hamilton. And then in the actual race itself, he drove spectacularly, overtook Magnussen in the end and finished up with an awful lot of points on the board. I believe it was a P6 and Magnussen was P8. So great weekend for them. But it did seem like Mick Schumacher, right after the sprint race, it really was the first time we've seen that kind of like his father's spirit in a way, where he was visibly like seething about the fact that the team had made an interesting call not to let him through when he believed he was faster than Magnussen in a race. So it just shows that he's got a serious amount of passion, because so far until this point we've kind of just seen him destroying Mazepin and being a relatively easygoing guy. But we kind of saw an element of Mick Schumacher the last couple of weekends which makes you think he actually could be a champion, right, with that kind of mentality. And it's to be expected given the fact that his surname is Racing Royalty, right? You'd expect him to turn up and really deliver the goods at some point or another. Now, Red Bull apparently have been keeping an eye on his progress. Now, of course, Red Bull Racing are going to keep an eye on pretty much every single young driver. They have an incredibly deep talent pool, effectively, throughout Formula 2 and other categories as well. But, obviously, recently, Mick Schumacher's been looking rather good, and despite the start of the season being pretty awful for him, and there was actually a fair bit of talk about, okay, is Schumacher going to be gone next year? Are Ferrari going to force Haas to keep him on board? Or, but now, the story is completely turned around, and it's okay, when's Mick Schumacher going to become so good that he leaves Haas and goes to another team? And that, of course, is a possibility based on the trends that he is currently enjoying. And Helmut Marko, of course, that kind of advisor to Red Bull, but very heavily involved with their program. As he says right here, without the technical defect in Montreal, he would have finished in the points there. Of course, he was probably going to finish in the points actually at Miami, right, before he took out Vettel on the final corner. I think it was it the final lap or the second final lap or one of the final laps of the race? He eventually just went for a move on Vettel, and it compromised both their possibilities to get in the points. Marko says the beginnings are there. It seems he needs real pressure and criticism. Then it worked, which is probably something that appeals to Helmut Marko quite nicely, because he's certainly not afraid to do that to his drivers. And we follow young drivers in general, he says, and going on to mention the fact that it runs through his career that Mick Schumacher seems to take quite some time to build up into being in a successful situation. He says that it runs through his career, similar in Formula 3. In this instance, he finished down in 12th in his first season back in 2017, went on to win it the next year. Marko states with one race after the other, suddenly he became a winning driver. And then in Formula 2, it was a very similar story. Ended the first campaign in Formula 2 12th, and then won it the next season in 2020. So now maybe after one season in Formula 1, he's really hitting stride this season, and certainly was driving very well the last couple of races. So, of course, we shall see if anything happens here with Mick Schumacher, right? But it does seem like there has been somewhat of a breakthrough. He seems to have, since getting those points, has really turned a corner, and hopefully it's a sign of things to come, because, when he's driving well, he definitely has the talent. Whether he can deliver on a consistent basis, though, is, of course, the key question mark, right? But that's the thing. Of course, Red Bull have signed Sergio Perez for the next couple of years until the end of 2024, and until then, of course, Mick Schumacher's probably still going to be in the Haas seat, or maybe next season, I think he's still going to be there, but maybe the season after, who knows what happens then, right? But yeah, till the end of 2024, Perez is going to be at Red Bull. Now, there's been talk about Pierre Gasly. He's going to be stuck at Alfa Tauri next season. Whether he goes somewhere else, I don't really know, but he, of course, wants that seat back, and if Perez is still driving well in a couple of years' time, they're probably going to keep him on, right, if he is still playing that kind of very impressive supporting cast role to Max Verstappen. But maybe they're looking at Schumacher in the long term and thinking, okay, he could be a good target to at least keep an eye on if this kind of trend continues going forwards. Of course, technically a Ferrari driver in a way, as you might expect given his heritage, but also Haas Ferrari is also a thing as well. And there were some theories that, okay, maybe Carlos Sainz, when his contract is over, could Mick Schumacher come into the Ferrari seat alongside Charles Leclerc? It's an interesting interesting opportunity. But Nico Rosberg says, look, he needs time for his development. Like George Russell was in the Williams seat for 3 seasons. Like then he was ready for the move to Mercedes, saying that, yeah, he needs to do the same thing, be at least in Haas for 1 more season, and then potentially he can start targeting a top team, a Ferrari, maybe a Red Bull down the line, but it seems rather unlikely to me. But still, I guess you can never rule anything else. It just seems like since that one battle with Max Verstappen, like, well, maybe Red Bull would take in a little bit of note after Silverstone, and it will continue to do so, I am sure. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.